Hi guys, and welcome back. In today's video, I want to take a deep dive into the Events module in Adobe Connect. It's one of the most robust modules that we have on the platform, and there are a lot of different nuances and steps to it that I want to really take you through in a kind of a multi-part series. So what is the Events module? If you're new to Adobe Connect and you have no idea what this is, it's essentially just a registration page that can be put in front of anything that lives inside of Adobe Connect. It can act as a registration page for the webinars that you're going to be producing. It can act as a self-enrollment tool to any of the LMS trainings that you're delivering through the training platform inside of Adobe Connect. It's really up to you guys on how you want to use it. And there are just a lot of interesting use cases around it. Now, if you take a look at my screen, you'll notice I actually have an example event up. Now, this is one I just did as a mock new hire training, and this is kind of all of the elements that you can incorporate into one of these events. Up here at the top, you have a nice banner image, and down here at the bottom, you do have a little small text box that indicates what the event is going to be about, and you even have this little speaker call-out box over here to the right-hand side. Now you can go through and there are dedicated pages that you have for the speakers of the event itself, so you can actually highlight them for the event. And you even have a registration page. Now this is going to be that gate that you put between you and your attendees to ask them questions first before they attend your event. So you'll see here I do have a list of a couple questions of, have you ever attended a webinar with us before, and what are you looking to get out of today's webinar, as well as some additional ones like an employee ID number. So how do we actually set up these pages? Well, I'll be honest with you guys, you do not need to know any sort of website design or coding. This is actually just as simple as filling out a form. So where we need to go next is we actually need to just go back to Adobe Connect and click on the Event Management tab up here at the very top. Now I already have this selected and I'm already on my Event Management page, and I can see that I have multiple events listed out here, but we're not going to be working with one of my existing events. We're going to go up here and click on New Event. Now going to New Event will take me to a page in which we're familiar with other areas of Adobe Connect, and that it's a simple web form. Now the first thing that it's going to have me do is it's going to have me select a template. Now I have a bunch of templates in here because my other users on my system use this quite frequently. You're really only going to have two in this list, and yours is going to be shared default or shared simple, these two right here. Now the difference between these two is essentially that the simple one does not include the speaker page that we were looking at before. So if I select this page that we were looking at before would not have this speaker information page. All this would be is it would be an info page and a registration page. Now if you're trying to really rapidly create this, the simple one is perfect if you're only trying to build a 2-page microsite, where if you go with the other one in the list down here, the just regular default template, this is going to give you that full 3-page microsite with both the landing page, speaker page, and registration page. Now we'll get into another video about how to customize these landing pages and how to make your own. That's not going to be something that we're going to cover in this video today. Now you'll run through and you'll give this event a name. So I'm just going to call this Hunter's Event Training, just so we'll label it of what we're talking about today. Now, like everything else inside of Adobe Connect, you're also going to give this a custom URL. Now, you might be questioning why you would do this since your room or your seminar room or your training already has its own custom URL. Well, what this custom URL relates to is it relates to the landing page and the registration page that you're directing everyone to. Again, you get to customize it, so you can essentially put anything that you want here, but we always recommend that you do keep it very short or very sweet in what you're going to be putting in here. So an abbreviation of the name or just the name listed out like I have here. Now below that we have these two information boxes. Now these are going to be located in two different places, and one of them I actually haven't talked about yet. So this first information box down here states that it will appear in the event catalog page. Now we haven't talked about the event catalog page yet, but I feel like this is a great time as any to show you guys this. So if I click back to my Adobe Connect server here and I click on Event Management, over here you're going to notice this event's catalog. Now earlier I showed you guys one microsite. What the events catalog is when we select that, and you can get a quick preview of it down here, but up here in the very top left you'll see that there's a view button. This will open up my events catalog. Now it's like any other catalog, like one you get in the mail or one you view online. It is multiple different events that you can pick through on ones that might work for you for your schedule or just topics that you might be interested in. You'll see each one of these has its own little text blurb next to it. Well, that's what this box symbolizes. It's that text blurb that you see on this page right here, and that's what the first indication to your users is going to be about what your event is going to be centered around. Now, the next box that you see here with the detailed information and the much more extensive character limit than what we were seeing before is actually going to be on the event site. So if I click back and I go to my event site, all of that information is this information that you're seeing here on this first page. So if I go ahead and highlight that, I can go and I can paste that right there, and that's going to be all of that information that my users initially see when they come to this event. Now, the next option that we have within this list is something called register without a password. Now, this is great for users that really tend to forget their passwords a bunch of times. This is something where when you have them register, all they need to use to register and log in is the email address that they sign up with. Now, this is something that I do want to get across to you guys at this point. This box down here basically states that if you have this enabled and you publish this event, you cannot go back and change this after the fact. You would then have to delete your entire event to change this setting. So again, keep in mind that at this point you need to decide if you want people to register with a password or not. Again, if you're only having a group of users that are meeting with you one time, you don't really need to have them register with a password, but if you are going to have these people coming back from multiple different events, I highly suggest that you have them create a password, because again, it will remember them on the system. Again, up to you guys, but I do want to let you know that you cannot change this after the fact. Now, the next setting that we see within this list is called Register with Social Profiles. This is actually something that I see very commonly on our smartphones. I wish I had it in front of me right now so I can show you guys this, where most apps that you download allow you to log in with either your Google, your Facebook, or any other social profile accounts just to speed up the process. Well, with this, you can also do the same thing inside of Adobe Connect events. You can have someone, instead of registering through your site, they can register with their Google profile or their Facebook profile. It will pull in as much information from those profiles as possible to fill out the registration questions, and any ones that it doesn't, those users still have to fill out, but it streamlines the login process for them. Now, you do not have to have this turned on at all if you do not wish. You can actually just leave that unselected there. Now, the next step we have here is the presentation step, and you actually get to decide what the presentation that's going to be linked to this registration page is. Now, we do have the option to do on demand, and this is going to be something where I can have it tied to any content within my content library. Another great use case for this is that if I have recordings in my content library, I can tie them to a registration page, and that will actually allow me to track who's watching my recordings and how long they're watching these recordings. Now, below that, I also have the ability to tie this to a training course or curriculum. Now, in other videos, we'll talk about the training module inside of Adobe Connect. Essentially, it's a lightweight LMS in which we can deliver courses and curriculums. Now, with this, I can actually have it to be a self-registration tool, in that I can send this to you guys, and if you need to take my training, you can sign yourselves up and enroll yourselves into my training. Now, let's say you're not doing a on-demand presentation, you're doing a live presentation. Well, you can select live down here, and you have the 3 different types of rooms that are available to you depending on the license that you have. So if you are a named host or a meeting host, you'll want to select this one because it will have you select a meeting room. If you are a name webinar manager or a seminar admin, you'll want to go ahead and select this one. And if you are a named virtual classroom manager or just a training manager using a virtual classroom, you'll want to make sure that you have this one selected. Again, just make sure that you are selecting the appropriate type of presentation to tie to your content. I myself am a meeting host, so I am just going to tie it to the live meeting that I have right here. Now, we do have a lot of other additional settings that we're going to see within this list, one of them being an attendee approval. This is actually something where you can play gatekeeper again within the system. This means that people can register, but they're not fully registered until you approve them into the event. You can go in, you can go through the approvals list and approve or deny anyone that you want or don't want coming to your event. Now below that, we even have visibility. Now this step in particular, allows you to either have the event registration page itself listed off in that event catalogs page or not. So you can actually choose to publish it to the event catalog or keep it private and do it something where you are the only one that promotes this event. And then allowing direct entry. This is one I don't find any harm in leaving selected, and it actually makes the registration process a little bit easier for people that are a little bit lazy or just forgot about your event. What this allows people to do is if they forgot to register for your event, and the event is actually going on, let's say that you're about 5 minutes into the event, instead of having them wait for an email that's going to be sent out to their registered email, it automatically brings them into the event, so they're not missing any of the event waiting for that email correspondence, and you yourself are still getting all of the data around this user. So again, it's a little bit of a flexible option. I always have it enabled, but you guys don't really need to if you don't want latecomers coming to your events. Now, as we're getting down this list, the next thing we need to fill out is start time and end time. Now, what the start time and end time really signify is the actual event itself. It's not the time in which you're allowing people to register, it's when the actual event is going on. So let's say I myself am going to host an event at the end of October. I'm going to do this on October 31st. We'll have a Halloween related event here. I'm going to go ahead and select October 31st for both of these. Now, the best time to ever host an event is always 2 o'clock. I find that 2 o'clock is always the best time, and we'll let it run till 3:30. We'll give some extra time for anyone that's going to be asking questions. Now, this will let the system know that they have up till October 31st at 3:30 to register for this event. I say that because, again, I have that allow direct entry on, so up till that point, the registration page will be active, and they can register for the event itself. Now, of course, we do have time zones. You don't have to mess with this if you don't need to, but if you have people in remote offices all over the place, you'll want to make sure that they set it for their appropriate time zone so emails and other correspondence that goes out is updated appropriately. I myself am on the East Coast, so I'm going to keep that on the East Coast time here. Now, we even have a registration limit below that. The registration limit really signifies how many people I want to come to my event. Now, depending on the license, you could have anywhere between 25, 100, 200, 1,500 people attend these events. But maybe I don't want that many people. Maybe I only want 20 people to come to my event. I can select enable, and I can put 20 there. Now, after that 20 mark is filled up, it would cut off the registration page. So it is something to take into consideration. If you want more people to register, you might want to increase your registration limit. So again, guys, just an optional setting that you do have. Now, if you remember, throughout that entire microsite, I had different images. The event logo, small banner image, and large banner image. Now, what do these correlate to? Well, let's start off with the top one that we see here. The event logo is going to be what you see next to my event here inside of my events catalog. It's the little thumbnail image that you're going to place here to allow people to just see a little quick glimpse of your event itself. Now, the small banner image that you see here is something where you're going to see it at the top of every email. It's basically your email header. So this is the little banner image that will be placed at the top of those. Now, all the way at the bottom, we do have this large banner image. Now, the large banner image really is going to be the image seen at the top of every single one of your landing pages. So these are going to be where these images correlate to. Again, event logo is going to be your events catalog. Your small banner image is going to be your email correspondence, and then your large banner image is going to go as the header of every single page that you are going to be posting. Now, all you have to do here is just click choose file, browse out to your computer and find that file and upload it. Now, what I will let you guys know and just want you to keep an eye out for as below each one of these upload boxes, you're going to see a file type that is accepted within these boxes, as well as a recommended aspect ratio of your image. So if you do work in Photoshop programs or other photo processing programs, just make sure you keep it around this range, just so it doesn't warp the image too much. This is just a recommendation. Again, you can upload bigger images, but I tend to find that the images that work the best are going to be the ones that are under these recommended image size that you'll see down here. Now, we are getting close to the end of part one and just the end of this page in general. Really, the second verse that we're seeing down here with everything that says speaker name and info is essentially what we did up at the top. It's just going to fill into that speaker information page. So we have that speaker's name. So we'll go ahead and we'll write my name out here. And we even have speaker overview and detailed overview. Now again, these have little blurbs at the bottom to really designate in where they're going to be placed. So for this one, the speaker overview, the 500 character limit, is going to go into that speaker callout, which is this box that you see over here on the right hand side of my page. Now if I go back, the detailed overview is actually going to go onto the speaker detail page, which again is when you click this no more button, the more lengthy overview that you see over here to the very left hand side of my image. And of course, below that, we do have that speaker's image. So that speaker image that you saw on those pages was simply me uploading it into this box down here. And of course, like before, it is something that has a recommended image size around it. Now down here at the bottom, we do have two additional settings that we can get into. You might not be able to play around with these, and that's based on the licensing that you have. Now the event user policy is actually something only an admin actually can designate if you can change it or not. So if you don't have the ability to do this, it means that an admin hasn't given you the abilities to do this. But this allows you to either have people that register through your event create themselves as guests on your Adobe Connect server, or you can have them create themselves as full Connect users. Now, you might ask yourself, well, why would I want one over the other? Well, guest is great if you're just having people come to attend an event, and that's it. Whereas the bottom one, having them create themselves as full registered users or Connect users, allows them to have a login and password on your system and allows you to pull them from lists for other meetings, trainings, and webinars that you might be doing. It's a great thing for even an onboarding process that you guys might be doing, and a great way to have people add themselves to your own Adobe Connect server if you don't want to go through the CSV upload. Again, call out to the video that we did earlier. So if you want to learn how to upload people as CSV file, we do have a video on our page on how to do that. But this is a setting that you can change if you're an admin, if you wish to do so. Now the final thing that we have here are available tags. Now the available tags are, again, relating back to the events catalog. Over here, you'll see them as popular tags. Now, if I tag one of my events out with one of these, it actually filters the event catalog list down. So this is my way of adding tags to my event so people can easily filter that list down to look for the events that they are specifically looking for. Now, with that, guys, you have all of the tools here to build this microsite to have people register for any type of training or event or even recording that you have on your Adobe Connect server. Now, that is the end of part one. Stay tuned to part two, where we talk about creating registration questions, email options, as well as campaign IDs. So, guys, take care. Have a great rest of your day. And stay tuned for part two.